Do you have your own masterpiece that you'd love to just create your own frame for? Well, thankfully for us, Porta have a selection of timber framing mouldings that already have the rebate. Now the rebate is this little corner section here that's been removed. That's where our print's going to sit into. Now the first thing we want to do is establish how long we need to cut our pieces. Now what I do, first thing is to measure your print. In this case it's 370 millimeters. We're using this particular moulding here. Now what I need to do is add the width of that section on each side and allow a couple of millimeters for clearance. Because remember, my print is going to fit in the rebate here. So my overall dimension is going to be from this outside to the outside here. So in this case it's 370, and if I measure my frame, it's 25 plus 25 on the other side, that's 50, plus 370, that'll be 420. How good was my maths? So I need to cut my pieces at 420 millimeters long. Now another tip here, when I use my miter saw, if I'm cutting picture frames or some small mouldings, I like to make a little jig, and all this is just two pieces of timber joined together. And I'll just screw that to my miter saw here, just through the hole in the back of the fence. So I attach my guide to the fence here, and I want to adjust my saw to 45 degrees. We're cutting a miter, so we need two 45-degree angles. And what I do then, I just make a cut down through the guide. Don't cut all the way through your fence, but that'll give you the position. Now once you've cut all your pieces, just lay them out on the bench, just so you can check, make sure, see how everything looks. Make sure all the miters line up. Now it's a good idea, before you assemble anything, is just to take some sandpaper, just some fine paper, this is 180 grit, and just do all your sanding first. It's a lot easier to sand when the pieces are single like that, rather than to try and sand around a miter. It makes it a little bit awkward. Just take your paper, fold it up, just take off any sharp corners. And when it comes time to gluing, we're dealing with end grain here. Now the end grain of timber is porous, so it soaks in the glue. It's a good idea just to seal the end grain with a little bit of glue. Just put some glue on there and just rub it in until it soaks all the way in. Do that on every corner. Because what will happen if you don't do that and you apply the glue will soak in and then your frame will be weak because there's not much glue holding it together. Once you've done that, to clamp it, I like to use a string and block method. And what you do, just assemble your frame and take a piece of string, just wrap it around the frame, just tie a knot there. And then you can apply the glue to the corners. Just apply the glue, spread it all out. Don't go overboard with the glue. More glue doesn't mean a tighter joint or a stronger joint, it just means more mess you need to clean up. Now another tip, when you put it together, just rub the two pieces against each other. It causes a bit of friction and just helps with the bonding. And when it comes time to clamping, grab your string again, put that around the frame. And just use some small blocks, just some offcuts will do, and just slide those in between the string and the frame, and just slide them up to the corner. If you find your string's a little bit too long, you can vary the width of the block. That just makes it pull a bit tighter. Now another tip is you just have a slightly damp cloth and just clean the glue off at this point, because if you let the glue dry, cleaning it up later is going to be a real problem. Just go easy with the water, you don't want too much water on here. And that's done. Just set that aside for it to dry, and then we'll come back and we can put our print in the frame. Now once the glue's dry, just remove the blocks and the string. Just go around and check all the corners. They may need a little bit of touch up with paper. Once it's got a little bit of glue there, just make sure all the corners are nicely sanded, and then you can apply your favourite finish. Now this one is Tasmanian oak. So you could use a wood stain or even a clear lacquer would look quite nice on this frame. Once we've done that, we just flip it over, put it in our glass panel. Just make sure there's no dust, make sure the glass is nice and clean. So you won't be able to get to it later. Then our print. And for the backing board, I've just cut a piece of MDF here. And that just surrounds the outside, and that can be screwed on to the frame. When you select your screws, just be mindful of the length of the screw. The last thing you want is this screw to come through the other side. There you go. Now I did say earlier we were framing a masterpiece. You know what I mean.